Hello for the final video in this embroidery tutorial series. I forgot to mention last time, I'm sure you know by now, this is a Badibidu beautiful watercolour design, which I have designed some embroidery stitching for. When you are happy with your hoop and you've stitched as much as you like, you've got your beads on or not, whatever it is that you're doing, you're ready to finish it off and turn it into something that you can display wherever you want to. So to do that, I have centered my hoop where I wanted it. Before I did that, actually, when I took the hoop off, I used the inner hoop as a template to cut a circle from my felt ready for my backing. Popped my embroidery back in, tightened it all up nicely, gave this screw a really good tighten with a screwdriver so everything is nice and taut and where I want it to be. There are different ways to finish off a hoop. Feel free to do something different if that is your preference. If you haven't done this before, this is what I usually do, and you can start here if you're happy with that. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is just roughly round off the fabric. And it doesn't, sorry, have to be perfect at all. I'm just sort of trimming off the corners. I'm doing this on a piece of white paper, simply because even when I've wiped it, I'm never convinced quite how clean my table is. And in a moment, we're going to be turning the embroidery face down, and I don't want to risk it getting dirty after all the work I've put into it. And so I'm just going to lay it on this paper. So once you've trimmed off, it's not the most even top and bottom. Let me try that again. Just more fabric at the top and those at the bottom. Again, this is not going to be seen, but it'll help with closing it if it's roughly the same. So then we're going to pop it over, and you can see all the messy stitching on the back, but it doesn't matter because that's going to be covered. And I've got a really long piece here of thread. It's got 2 strands, but you can use a bit thicker if you want. This is the green that most closely matches the felt. But it doesn't actually matter what colour you use. I'm going to just start at the top because that's easier. And all we're going to do is a running stitch in and out of the fabric, so you'll get used to doing this. And you won't really need to think about it. So you literally come up and down your fabric. And I'm kind of doing this to do this in a few stitches at a time. Because as you can see, if I give this a little pull, it starts to gather your fabric, and what we're going to do is gather all the fabric to the back of the hoop. And then we can obviously cover it with the felt, and it will all be nice and neatly tucked away. So I'll just carry on doing that. Again, no one's going to see this. This is much more about functional stitching than pretty stitching. You see, look there, it's already starting to gather that nicely. You can, if you want, make your stitches smaller than I'm doing. But I'm doing these stitches on the larger side because I'm doing it on a video and you don't want to sit and watch me stitch this for 3 hours. But obviously the smaller the stitches you do, the more it will gather. I've come a bit close on this side, but it doesn't matter. It's a lovely thing, it's not going to be seen. So you don't really need to worry too much. If you feel like you've left a bit too much length in your fabric, then you can trim it off very carefully once you've gathered it up. But I generally find that even if there was a bit more fabric than I needed, it doesn't really matter because it's tucked away. So I'm going to give it a nice pull. In fact, I might just pop another couple of stitches in there. A nice pull, and then just tie that off. And then we are ready to do the backing. Now, if you prefer, and you've had enough of stitching, you don't actually have to stitch this on. You could just glue it around the edge. However, the only problem with that is that if you ever need to get into the back of your hoop again, it's going to be almost impossible. So if you possibly snagged a stitch on the front and you wanted to repair it, if this is just stitched on, then obviously you can cut your stitches, take it off, and work on the back of the hoop and repair whatever's happened. For example, if you glue this on, it's going to be pretty much there for life. But again, if you're confident that you're going to put this up somewhere high, no one's going to do anything to it, and you just had enough, you want to glue it, you don't want to know, fair enough, go ahead. If you want to stitch it, it's a very similar sort of process. You can do lots of different stitches. I find running stitch a bit difficult because we've got the wooden edge of the hoop underneath here. I often whip stitch just around the edge, just by, she says, taking a bit of that fabric and then coming through. We do it that way. Coming up and through the hoop like this and just continuing to do that all the way around. I've also seen people do back stitch or buttonhole stitch as it's known. You probably could do a running stitch, it just might be a little bit trickier getting through and bending a needle around this wood. But whatever you want to do again is fine really. So I'm actually wondering if I just try a bit of a blanket stitch, see what I think. This bit is going to be a little bit fiddly, but obviously it's something you could do just while watching the TV or something to finish off your hoop after all that hard work in making a beautiful piece. You want it to kind of look nice on the back. It also protects the back of the hoop, so the back won't get snagged or full of dust or anything like that. So you get the idea. I'm not going to carry on right now because there's just one more thing I wanted to show you. And that is adding your ribbon loop. And I meant to cut mine in advance, I didn't, so just 1 minute. And then we'll give it a trim. So, you have a piece of ribbon. Obviously you can buy hoop stands or lean this against a bookcase or something like that, but if you wanted to hang it on your wall, we can just make a nice little loop with your piece of ribbon. So all I did is bend it in half, and we're just going to put a lark's head knot through the screw at the top here. So you just post the looped end from the front to the back through here, and then I'm trying to do this with one hand so you can see this. Just pop your loops through that loop at the top, pull it tight, and then these ends can just be tied in a knot at the desired length, and then your embroidery is ready to hang. So I really hope that you have enjoyed stitching this kit. Please share with us on social media. We'd love to see all your finished embroideries, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye.